This video is going to show you how to add and subtract rational expressions. So rational expressions are just fractions that involve variables, and we add them and subtract them the same way we add and subtract fractions. So let's take a look at a numerical example with just fractions first. 1/4 plus 2/4. So if you notice, my denominators are the same. So when my denominators are the same, I'm going to keep my denominator and I'm going to add my numerators. So 1 plus 2 gives me 3. So the same thing happens when we are working with rational expressions. My denominators are the same, so I'm going to keep them. And then I'm going to add my numerators. So I have x plus 7 because I don't have like terms, so I can't combine them. But you have to remember with rational expressions that you always want to check to see if it can be factored. So in my denominator, I can factor this trinomial. So it becomes x plus 7 in my numerator, that stays, and my denominator is going to become x plus 7 times x minus 3. And now if you notice, my numerator and denominator have a common factor. So I have to simplify. So I'm left with 1 over x minus 3. There is a separate video on simplifying rational expressions if you want to take a look at that to review how to simplify rational expressions. So this is when I have like denominators. Now let's take a look at what happens when I have unlike denominators. So let's work with the numbers first. 1/4 plus 1/2. So I want to make both of my denominators the same so I can follow that rule that we were just using. So I'm going to keep the 1/4 and then I'm going to multiply by what's missing to get me a common denominator. So this fraction is missing a 2 because 2 times 2 would give me a denominator of 4. Now the reason I'm multiplying by 2 over 2 is because whatever I do to the denominator, I have to do to the numerator. So I have 1/4, which stays, plus 2 times 1 is 2. Now think about this for a second. I didn't really change anything because my new fraction of 2/4 reduces to my original fraction of 1/2. So now I follow the same steps. Keep my denominator of 4 and add my numerators. 1 plus 2 is 3. So once again, the same thing is true of rational expressions. So I'm going to take a look. I have different denominators. One denominator has an x, one has a 3. So I'm going to multiply by what's missing. So in the first fraction, well, let's talk about our LCD first. My LCD is going to be 3x. The first fraction has an x in the denominator. It's missing a 3. So I'm going to multiply by 3 over 3. The second fraction has a 3 in the denominator. It's missing an x. So I'm going to multiply by x over x. So I'm going to get 3 over 3x plus x over 3x. Now I have common denominators, so I'm going to keep my common denominator. And then I'm going to add. 3 plus x is 3 plus x, or x plus 3, either way. And then just like in the last one, you want to check to see if you can reduce or simplify. But in this case, I can't because nothing can be factored. So that's my answer. So remember, with like denominators, you can just combine your numerators, keep your denominator, and then with unlike denominators, you need to do a little bit of work first to multiply by what's missing to get you that common denominator.